The encounter at the health unit, looming like a black ghost in the dark. I met him. He was standing there, wearing a black high-neck pullover. I don't particularly enjoy spending the night with this bald bat, but I had no choice. 2 pairs of eyes are certainly better than 1, even if both of us see the world through thick lenses. "Here I am," I shouted at him, and he jumped in place in terror, starting to utter religious phrases. "What a fool you are!" We haven't even started yet. As soon as he recognized me, he directed the flashlight at my face and started laughing hysterically, repeating, "I thought you were her. That's exactly what we want. How happy I am that you're not her, Dr. Azim." "Yes, colleague." "The fact that I'm not her doesn't give you the right to blind me with that flashlight." He apologized quickly, turned off the flashlight and looked embarrassed. We began walking in silence along the dirt road leading to my brother's house. He had described it to me in detail that morning, and I pretended not to know it. After a few minutes, our breathing grew louder. Neither of us was in good shape. I don't much like this eerie silence. From afar, my brother's house appeared, a gloomy battalion draped in black. I looked at him and whispered, pointing westward, "You go deep into those crops and wait there." "And you? If anything suspicious happens, make the sound of an owl, and if the danger is severe, don't worry. Scream." "And you?" "I'll go deep into the southern cornfield." The southern field is where I heard that voice calling my brother. I ventured among the cornstalks that were taller than me, the sound of dry leaves rustling and sharp things like knife blades scratching my face. It would be hard to see anything in this place, even if it were just centimeters from my face. I kept going deeper and deeper until I reached a clearing in the field. I stopped, my heart racing from excitement. I raised my head to the sky and saw the stars clearly and distinctly, just as I always did. And from afar, I could see my brother's house, alone and cloaked in darkness. There was no moon, and I preferred it that way because total darkness is not frightening. What truly sparks terror are the dim lights and shadows, for they stir the imagination. I remembered the story The Red Room by H.G. Wells, when the protagonist had to spend a black night in a haunted room, lighting many candles to ease his solitude, but they only heightened his fear to the point of madness, as he had to face the shadows cast whenever a candle went out. Yes, I definitely prefer complete darkness, flat, uniform darkness. The lighting of a candle, a dim lamp, or the pale light of the moon is enough to make me die of fright. The minutes passed. I sat on the ground, squatting. And now came my main flaw, the one I never managed to get rid of, the one that never even crossed my mind. Boredom. Curse this lazy Naddaha. What have I done to deserve spending my night waiting for that cursed woman to pity me and come from her infernal world to scare me? If she doesn't do it now, then there's no point in doing it ever. 2 hours passed. The problem with these terrifying creatures is that they never come when you want them to. And now Reda is asleep in his bed, unbothered by anything, and Nagat sleeps beside him thinking of her fate after he's gone, and the entire village is asleep, unaware of the 2 madmen who decided to spend the night in the fields for no apparent reason. I lit a cigarette and began to hum. I don't know why this particular sad tune came to mind at this moment. "Where's the boy, Mama?" She said he forgot his people. The melody matched the mood, but it came out of my mouth hoarse and rough, like an omen, and it sent a chill through my veins. What made me remember it? And then, I was seized by a strange feeling that I was not alone. In my line of sight, I glimpsed something. I slowly turned my face toward it, and I saw what looked like a tall girl, cloaked in a long black dress, walking slowly about 5 meters away from me. So lightly, it was as if she were gliding rather than walking. There was no movement or bulge beneath her dress to indicate the motion of legs. The village was doomed when the ghoul called to him. When she turned her face in my direction, it was as if she didn't see me at all, and in this darkness, I wouldn't have seen her even if she had looked right at me. I felt my spine freeze, and my heart nearly leaped into my throat. She was looking at Reda's house. "Where's the boy, children?" They said the boy was bewitched. What made me realize this wasn't just hallucination was the strange green glow surrounding her, as if she were emitting this light from within, from beneath her dress. What I was seeing now was something mysterious by all standards, something whose nature I couldn't grasp, but I didn't dare leave the place until I understood what was happening. He travelled far after her, and the years keep turning. And now the girl stopped, her posture upright, her chest rising and falling. Then she lifted her voice in a call, looking upward like a wolf howling at the moon's disk. "Ridda! Ridda!" It was the same long, wailing, echoing voice as if it came from the depths of hell, the same drawn-out syllables, the same rasping sound I had heard that night when I returned from Cairo. "Ridda! Ridda!" Now it was time to end this farce. I rose from my spot, and with calm and caution I approached her, and she had her back to me. Her mysterious green light outlined her figure and spilled onto my clothes. When I was right behind her, I cleared my throat to speak. The words were stuck in my throat. "Where's the boy, Mama?" I said, trembling. "What are you doing here, young lad?" And then she turned toward me. She said he forgot his people. The village was doomed when the ghoul called to him. Who said the Naddaha was of enchanting beauty? I had never seen or imagined a face so horrifying. A face pale as death, eyes sunken deep with blood-red irises, pitying lips. I won't deny there was a kind of beauty, a particular kind, like the beauty of wicked witches. Yes, it was there. But it was a cruel, repulsive beauty. Her hair was jet black, neatly styled, and her neck long and proud, a large blue mole on the left side. There wasn't enough time for my nerves to process it all, because I screamed like I never had before. I forgot everything about the gun in my pocket. I wanted nothing but to escape this situation, to flee to a place where I wouldn't have to see that face. "Where is the boy, children?" They said the boy is bewitched. I started running and stumbling, then rising, then running again, the cornstalk slapping my face and my heart pounding. All my thoughts had vanished, except for that ominous song, and two snakes each devouring the other's tail. I don't know how they slipped into my subconscious. From afar, her voice echoed again with persistence. "Ridda! Ridda!" In the darkness, I collided with a human body, and I panicked, starting to throw wild punches at what I thought was his vital spot. Then I heard a familiar voice saying prayers and shouting, "Dr. Rifat! It's me! Asim! Asim who?" Now I remember. Dr. Asim, with whom the adventure began. He lit the flashlight and began to calm me down, while I kept trembling and hurriedly told him what had happened. "So she's over there? Of course, you fool. Then let's go. This is our last chance." We started running toward the place where I had seen her, and there, under the light of our flashlights, there was nothing. Just squared silence, and the sound of a frog croaking, courting his mate. "Where did that girl go? Are you sure of what you saw?" "Of course." "Then why didn't you catch her?" My face turned red, which he couldn't see in the dark, and I said with a mix of embarrassment and anger, "I wish you had been there in my place." There was no chance to do anything. Was the scene that terrifying? Terrifying. "And where do you think she went?" "To the place she came from, of course." He thought for a moment, then yawned and said, "In any case, it's nearly impossible to find anyone among the growing cornstalks. It seems tonight's show is over. Let's go back to the clinic and talk. You need a cup of tea." "Yes, no doubt. Now let's recall what happened." His wife Awatif was preparing tea for us on the kerosene stove, while we, Dr. Asim and I, sat shivering on the bed. I couldn't believe for a moment that just 10 minutes ago I had faced the Naddaha herself. I began retelling the story, while Awatif started to squirm and purse her lips until I reached the confrontation part, and she cried out in her hoarse voice, "Oh my, enough of that, my skin is crawling." Dr. Asim laughed in delight. Men love to frighten women, and only clever women know how to use that to their advantage, as if the age-old fear of mice was merely a way to flatter a man's ego. I said modestly as I sipped my cup of tea, "You felt it just from the words, but I lived it face to face, and it will haunt me until I die." Dr. Asim asked with interest, "Describe her to me." I scratched my chin in hesitation. I knew her face perfectly, yet I couldn't describe it. Then an idea struck me, and I took a paper and pen and started sketching something. "Ah, you're going to draw her?" "Of course. I'm not a bad artist." On the paper, the face began to take shape, the staring eyes, the torn lips. The soft black strands of hair falling on the forehead, then the long white neck. A decent portrait, but it didn't resemble her much. Only useful for someone who had never seen a Naddaha before. I handed the paper to Asim, and he took it and examined it, while Awatif stretched her long neck in curiosity to see it. Asim stared at the picture for a while, then handed it back to me in silence. I looked at the image again. There was a mistake I had made. I had forgotten to shade the eyes red like the Naddaha's eyes, and I hadn't drawn the blue mole on the left side. That's why the portrait looked more human than that demoness had when I saw her. Just another pretty girl. I folded the paper and placed it in my wallet. I stood to leave. Neither of them tried to stop me. Asim said pensively, "So, will you continue what we started tomorrow? Of course, we haven't reached anything, and it's now 11 o'clock at night. If I were you, I'd be cautious." "Why?" He looked at me with a strange, tender gaze from behind his thick glasses and whispered, "You've ruined her plan for the night, and the Naddaha never forgives those who stand in her way. Now, have another cup of tea before she acts."